Hello and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show, where presence allows perspective and invites peace. We are live on the newstreamingnetwork.com, home of goingboldmedia.com, goingsolomedia.com, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard.
And as you can see, if you are watching, we have a special guest on screen with us, and this is Greg Pituch. He's a dedicated teacher, spiritual writer, ultrarunner, and nutrition coach. And today he's here to talk to us about how nutrition impacts healing. Greg, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We want to get started. We're going to launch right into it because we want to get to Greg as fast as possible. So Janice, would you please ring us in? Excellent. All right, we're going to go to our first segment, Good News. Hey, Janice, can you tell me something good?
Yes. We need to practice that. So the good news for today is it's a Facebook video, and it's called The Gifted Event. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to see in this a before and after, because this is probably an autistic child, as they say now. And with this hairdresser focuses on challenging patients and people who have sensor issues or touching it. And can you imagine having those kind of issues and having to get a haircut? So here, give it a watch and see what you think of what he does before and after.
Hey, relax, breathe. You want to climb up?
I know. I'm by your ears. I get it. Good job being still.
Yeah, so this is Vernon Jackson.
Being still.
Oh, still talking.
You like it? Is it beautiful? Is it? Yeah. Fine. Give him a hug. Come on with my hug. Come here, man.
I'm so proud of you. So good. Like he literally did not even by the ears.
All right, we can stop to the store.
Yo,
You earned that one.
Yeah, we can stop and get a toy.
So this is Vernon Jackson, and this is what he does. He's a barber. Well, I don't know if he does just this, but he does focus on doing haircuts. It's called The Gifted Event. Mm-hmm. And his slogan is, I'm not here as a human being, but as a human becoming. And he just had his 3-year anniversary and doing work like this for families around the world. And he does it by donations. So this is all free to the families. And go to thegiftedevent.com if you do want to donate a haircut. And this is for if any of you have any special needs kids in your lives, especially some in the autism spectrum. Like I have a niece and a nephew who are very into the sensory issues. And I work with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation for Vermont, which is called Higher Ability. And we work with a lot of disabled people, and especially I'm learning about sensory issues, which I never learned about. And hearing, even like sound can be a bother, like the buzzing of that, or there's just so much that could really affect people who have these issues. So thank you to him. I've been following him. I was trying to find the perfect one. He does just amazing things.
Yeah, that is feel good. And it said it took 14 haircuts. So that's a man with great patience.
Oh, yeah. And he does all kinds of different things. He has toys, of course, and he has the high five thing seems to break the ice. He does that a lot. with a kid.
Mhm.
So it's nice. It's magical because it takes someone special.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of people don't think about it. I wouldn't even think about haircuts being an issue because, you know, I had Maddie and she was fine. But yeah, outstanding. People all over the world are picking up in these areas that assistance and support is needed. So that's beautiful. Thank you, Jen.
Yes.
All right. Moving along. Attitude is everything, my friends. We are moving along to weekly affirmation with Janice.
Yes. My affirmation this week will be, I am gentle with myself and accept my so-called imperfections. I accept and love myself in every stage of my life.
I love that. I love that very much. And remember, grab a mirror, look at yourself, and say these things to yourself. Allow every cell in your body to absorb it, you know. And one of the biggest things with affirmations is repetition is key, because the bad things we have said to ourselves thousands, hundreds, and thousands of times over the years, so automatic that it's in my, you know, it was in my subconscious that I didn't even realize the dialogue was so negative. So give yourself grace, be patient with yourself. You're not going to say these three times and everything shifts for you automatically. It's about rewiring and reprogramming that brain to be positive and love yourself and acknowledge the wonderful things within you, and that we are all here to love and be loved. So those are perfect, Janice. Thank you again.
Yeah, I really like how it says so-called imperfections, because, you know, nobody is truly imperfect. I mean, we're all exactly the way we should be at that moment in time. So, I mean, all that we can do is look at ourselves and say, okay, what is this, you know, teaching us? And what is this, you know, allowing me to actually see in a clear light, when you can really sit and think about what you may perceive as an imperfection. You know, it's really just your beauty, you know, shining forth and allowing you to become who, you know, you're truly meant to be at that new moment in time. I mean, and so I really like how it says so-called imperfections, because so often, you know, we view that as, you know, such like, you know, we compare and we look at others, but I mean, how we are in that moment is just a way for us to learn and grow and become not even a different version of ourselves, right? But just like a more clear version of ourselves. Yeah, that's really great.
Perfect me. A perfect me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. Absolutely. All right. Moving on to tool time. But we don't have Tim the tool man, Taylor.
We've got Judy, the tool powerhouse woman. There we go.
Do we have a sound? There we go. Perfect. Okay. This is from the show that I did solo and, you know, talked a bunch about myself. So these tools are tools that work for me. I'm putting them out there just as something. If it aligns with you, perfect. If it doesn't, just toss it aside. Becoming a seeker of my truth. And that was really something that came to me because I began to realize that I have 3 siblings and not one of us remember growing up the same way. And it wasn't until we were all sitting around and sharing stories and things like that, that I even started to realize that my brother had a very different childhood than I did. And so did my older sister and my little sister. And one of the biggest things that triggered it was my mom died when I was 26. So my little sister was 23. You know, my older sister's 4 years older than that. My brother's 8 years older than that. And every single one of us, it's not like we were children. Every single one of us believes she died of something different. I believe she died from things caused by lupus and the massive steroids they put her on. My brother says she died from colon cancer. So it's not even like it's very close. We all 4 of us have different interpretation of what finally took her, because she spent 6 years being sick. But it was that realization that I was like, wow, okay. We really don't see things the same, and we do filter things out and hold on to what we see as the truth. So it's very interesting. And something as concrete as that is, we could go to the death certificate and see what it says. But it was like, poof, wake up. Everybody doesn't see things the way you do. And, sadly, I was in my 40s when this realization came to me. So yes. And then I got Reiki Reiki 1 attuned, which I feel like it was me stating to the universe that I'm ready to start paying attention now. I'm tired of being numb and just existing. I'm ready to pay attention, and I'm going to ask the hard questions, and I'm going to listen for the answers and do my best to trust. I attended heart mind circles and women's circles and workshops. I took classes and got certified in any modality that tickled my fancy. And I stopped asking, this was a big one. I stopped asking why things happened to me and started asking, what's the lesson in this experience? And when I started asking that, it was that shift from taking everything that was happening personally. I used to think especially after my mother died, everything was a personal attack. And being able to shift it, why is this person treating me like this? It's what am I supposed to be learning from this experience, from this relationship, from, these things that are happening. So that's what really started to introduce me to the fact that I didn't have a damn clue what truth was. So
that's funny because, Greg, that's impressive.
That's my dad.
That's your dad?
Yeah.
All right.
That's funny.
What's interesting is when I started saying, I said, what did I learn from this? What did I learn from this? But one thing I noticed is I had patterns. So going along with your last thing is I noticed, geez, I think I've been here before. It was until I looked at what I was supposed to learn from it. And take from it that it seemed like it stopped happening to me. I got out of the pattern. So that's interesting. That's really been important for me too.
Excellent. And that's a great point, because once we are able to see and acknowledge the pattern, then we can make the choice what we want to do with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my tools for today. Anybody else have any input? Anything else? Greg, you want to say something? Mr. Wisdom?
No, it's just amazing what we see and what we realize, like with the stage of life that we're going through. Like, so for instance, my one knee, like that's what I'm trying to really take care of, is my one knee. So every day, what do I see? I see healthy knees everywhere. Like I see, man, look at that person crouching down, or man, look at that woman, running. Wouldn't that be nice? Like we were watching Nightmare Before Christmas last night, and Jack Skelton, he's just bending his knees all over the place, like deep lunging. And I'm like, whew, that would be so cool, like to have that. So it's just amazing, what stage of life we're in, whether it be, jealousy, or maybe we're at a low income stage, or, whatever we're going through. That really is what then we project out and we actually see into the world. And then until we realize that, I feel like, and then we, start to use that as a learning experience or as a healing experience, then we don't become aware of that anymore, because we just allow it, we just allow life to happen and to just be, and you're just in the moment. But, I think the issue you're going through takes you out of the moment, and it makes you hyper focus on whatever it is, you're going through at that moment in time.
Yeah. And everything that comes through is based on the past, because that's all we have, all the experiences from the past. So when we can see it for what it is and start to understand just how powerful our thoughts and our focus are, then that's when we can decide to shift things. Yeah. Greg is a master at being present, I have to tell you.
Oh, that's
I
great.
had the pleasure of knowing Greg for a couple of years, and he is also a 4th grade teacher. And the gift of him being present and him teaching that to his kids has been, I don't know if you're ever going to fully understand the impact that has for those kids. The ripple effect that goes not only through your classroom, but through the whole school. So
thanks.
Yeah, and the kids nowadays are so not present. They're on their phones. They're avoiding being present constantly. So that is a gift. Yes, especially the kids.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's just so much thrown in front of them that it's hard because they don't know any better. You know, they don't know because maybe from a young, you know, from childhood, you know, a parental figure has allowed them to either look at a screen or throw something in their face, you know, just to kind of let them be quiet. And then it's really doing a disservice because no one is really realizing what's the beauty of all, you know, just the beauty that is around us and like what's going on around us and just taking it all in. It's just, you know, it's becoming a lost art almost, it seems like.
It's
Absolutely.
so true. And one of the biggest, you know, when Maddie started driving, she didn't know how to get anywhere because she was always in the back of the car on a phone or on a toy or something. So that was eye-opening for me. Like
Right.
she could get from school to home. And I was like, what have I done?
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing as we're talking. I was thinking, uh-oh, I think I'm guilty of that too.
All right, so let's move on to Pathways to Peace and learn a little bit more about Greg. If I can get rid of the marbles in my mouth. All right. As we said before, Greg is a dedicated teacher, spiritual writer, and ultra runner, as well as nutritional coach. And the nutrition coach is who we're going to talk to today, and you know, he's sharing his wisdom too. That can't be stopped. He is passionate about guiding others through the phases and transitions of life and nutrition for optimal health. With a deep connection to both physical endurance and spiritual growth, Greg combines these passions to inspire holistic well-being. As a father of 5 and a loving husband, he understands the importance of balance and nutrition and nurturing both his family and his personal pursuits. His approach to life, nutrition, and wellness is rooted in resilience, mindfulness, and a commitment to lifelong growth. That's amazing. And you are all those things and more. So we're just going to real quick ask you a couple background questions and we'll go on from there. But where were you born and raised?
I was born in New Kensington, PA, which is a little outside of Pittsburgh. But then basically, like in second grade, we moved to Du Bois, Pennsylvania, which if you hit State College basically and go west on 322 or Interstate 80, you'll hit Du Bois / you know, Treasure Lake. Treasure Lake's kind of like a gated community in that area as well. And that's where I spent like, you know, my life growing up, elementary school, high school. You know, my parents lived there, you know, while I was going through college and everything. So, I mean, that's where I came from. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have one brother named Michael, and he actually lives out in like near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Are you guys close?
Yes, we're 10 years apart, but as we grew older, we definitely, you know, are very close now. Like he's definitely, you know, I consider him one of my best friends for sure, even though we do have distance. He comes to all my races if he can. You know, he's my crew. He's my crew chief for all my ultras. Him, my best friend Chad, which also lives basically like 15 minutes from my brother, and then my older son Isaac. I mean, they're my 3, you know, backbone people that you can count on being at my ultras. And you know, Amy has the littles, or else, you know, she would be as well. So she definitely supports, you know, my racing in other ways, perhaps not there at the race, but just, you know, allowing me to have that time to go away and, you know, not worrying about what's taking place at the house.
Gotcha. Excellent. We were talking in the pre-show meeting that your brother likes to be the funkle, the fun uncle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's definitely the best uncle, and they're actually getting married. October 18th is when their wedding date's going to be. You know, next year. So she's the fun aunt as well. So they're really great. They love our kids to death.
Nice. Aunts are great, especially aunts and uncles without kids.
Yeah. And it's really easy, it's easy. It's unfair, because it's just he and I. So, I mean, the only kids that he has to focus on, like nieces and nephews, you know what I mean? For him personally are my kids. So, I mean, and the kids just absolutely adore him. Like, I can't say enough about him. I mean, he's just amazing.
That's nice. That's nice. Now, with a 10-year age difference, were you both like only children? Did it affect you that way?
What's that? I'm sorry.
With a 10-year age difference between you and your brother, did it still feel like you were only children growing up?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely, I was like the older brother. So like when I was like 18, right, he was only 8. So, I mean, I had fun, with him growing up, but it was definitely, a contrast on what we were interested in. And, me, us not hanging out as, let's say my kids do because they're so close together, there was that age gap. So now, whenever he started getting into college, I would say like kind of entering into that whole adult world, right, is when, then our interests started to mesh with each other and we really became, I would say like more close as equals, right? Not just as, I don't see myself as big brother. I just see, we're just brothers. I mean, that's just how it is.
Excellent. All right. You dodged a bullet. We're going to jump over the challenges you've experienced as a child and growing up. And we're going to move right to, you've always been athletic. You've always been fit. But what launched your nutritional journey?
Oh, okay. So there's definitely a history of arthritis in my family. On my dad's side, like my grandma and my, grandfather had arthritis. And I was diagnosed with arthritis like in my 20s. I was diagnosed with like disc degenerative disease, with slip discs, with back arthritis, with knee arthritis. I really wasn't much into running. I coached and I refed and I, did things, but I really wasn't into running. And then I would run now and then, just to kind of keep in shape a little bit, just for something different to do. And then we moved and I kind of got hooked up with a group of people that enjoyed running. So I kind of got into it. And then I ran my first half marathon at around Pinchot Lake called the Squirrely Tail Trail Run. And then I ran my first marathon. And then I ran my first like 40 miler. And then I signed up on a whim for a 100 miler. And I was on the wait list, 35 people down, never thought I'd be involved in it. Boom, wouldn't you know it, I got accepted in. So, I mean, I ran it, what else would any, sane person do, but try it. And so I, went 85 miles. The race sweepers caught me. So I basically couldn't continue anymore because I wasn't going the necessary pace to finish the race. And then I kind of just got hooked on that excitement and that challenge and that feeling of just pushing yourself to like a brand new limit, like the hallucinations and the pain and the, yelling and singing at myself at night to keep me awake, just, it just really was just a great experience. I just loved, everything about that. So then I continued. And then, a few years later, I noticed running ultras. I called it Frankensteining because my knees wouldn't really bend anymore. So I was Frankenstein. I could finish the race, but it wasn't a comfortable finish. Like my knees would hurt. I'd be, in a lot of pain. And I was like, gosh almighty, what can I do about this? And then it's just the universe kind of fell in my lap. Like this one guy I started following named Michael McKnight, and he's a professional ultra runner. And he really was called the low carb runner. He did the ketogenic diet, and he was really successful on it. And so I started really, diving into the ketogenic diet and realizing how that can, affect inflammation and how that can lessen the effects of arthritis. And it can really help your overall well-being of life, no matter what you're doing. So, my goal was to, finish this race. And so I hired him as my running coach, and I really took on, you know, that mindset of I'm gonna, you know, just basically go to the ketogenic diet and just commit myself, you know, to that.
Mhm.
And it wasn't honestly that bad for me because it was like a slow, and you have to realize if you back up, this was like a process that was happening. It wasn't like overnight. I was like, okay, I'm going to do keto. I mean, this was months, you know, building up to me trying to substitute foods and me trying to do different things. So honestly, once I started and kind of jumped off the cliff to ketogenic, I
Mhm.
didn't go through keto flu. I didn't have some of those issues that other people have because I allowed myself to
So
transcend.
important.
And then after 8 days, all of my inflammation went away. I was running like nothing was ever wrong with me. That year, you know, I was able to finish the Oil Creek 100 miler, and I still just think back on it, just how amazing it was, and just not even during the race did my knees hurt, you know, once, and it was just awesome just to look back and just be with like Chad and Michael and, you know, my son Isaac, you know, through those miles and through that time and through the night at the aid stations. And then, you know, they were waiting for me near the end. And like Isaac jumped over the guardrail and joined me, and, you know, we ran in together and everything. So it's just one of those, you know, memories that I'll never forget. And I just cherish. But that's when I really just realized how much nutrition, you know, can affect you, and it can just change your life for the better if we just take our time and allow ourselves to, you know, just allow ourselves grace and allow ourselves to transition into something and not just think, well, I'm going to jump into this. And then in a week, you know, you mess up, and then, you know, people just give up and quit because it's just, they put too much on their plate. You know, it's a hard transition to change nutritionally.
Mhm.
And I think through my experience, that's why I wanted to become a nutrition coach then, is to teach people how to, you know, transition into into better nutrition so their bodies start to feel better.
Mhm.
And, you know, I kind of, you know, cut my nose off to spite my face because, you know, I don't want them to be my clients, you know, forever. I'm looking to teach them and for them to learn, and then for them to go out and just then feel the confidence to, you know, to do it on themselves. And it's been great watching, you know, my clients, you know, do that. I mean, and I help them, but, you know, they put in the work, they put in the dedication, you know, they're the ones with the mindset that they're going to do it. And it's great to, you know, to be like their partner in crime with it.
Mhm. And this is a great place for us to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back with more from Greg. We are back with Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show, and Greg Pituch. He is a nutrition coach, and I could not have set up that transition any better than what you did. So thank you. That was beautiful. Yes, he before the break, he got into telling us how he is. It was funny. I kept hearing, "You're a guide." Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because you provide the guidance, the people still have to do the work, but
Right.
you provide the guidance for them. And I love how you said, you know, it was a gradual transition. And your body responded beautifully because you didn't have the keto flu and things like that. Lovely. So I say this is a perfect time for us to talk about, you know, what are the phases, transitions, and substitutions that we need to have a healthy nutritional journey.
Yeah, that's really kind of how I, you know, approach my clients. I mean, I've had clients that have been ultra runners that, you know, I work with them into a specific race, or, you know, people with type 2 diabetes where, you know, we've lowered their, you know, blood sugars to over 100 points and lost, 10, 15 pounds of weight over, so many like 4 or like let's say 8 to like, 12 weeks or so. But it really all boils down to just, when a client comes to me, we look at where they are, at that moment in time. And, the first step is to get like an honest to goodness, food journal, from someone, because so many people will romanticize or will, kind of undercut what they're actually, putting into their bodies. They don't add, the little Hershey's nuggets that they took off of the secretary's counter, or they don't add the Jolly Rancher that they had, or, you know what I mean? There's just so many little things that we don't honestly realize we're taking into our bodies until we actually stop and start writing things down. Because we all do it. We all say that we don't eat as much as we do, and then we all romanticize about what we're eating. We all have these incredible visions of just, we're all healthy eaters. Why in the world, am I having knee pain, or why am I, 5 pounds overweight?
It's funny because I was in a nutrition class this semester, and she had to do her food log, and it was the opposite for her. She had to lie and say she didn't have to. She chose to lie and say she ate more than she actually does because she wasn't eating enough.
That was actually the ultrarunner that I, had as a client for a while. We had to boost his calories to 2,000 because honestly, that was all. He should have been eating more even, but he was such an inconsistent eater that we actually had to boost his protein and boost his calories because of how much, he was working his body to successfully train for these races. I mean, it was just amazing. But that's what we do. Like, we look at what people are eating, and then we talk about, oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We had that big comment. Do you know? There we go. So proud.
Yeah, she was, I played soccer with her sons, and I went to high school with her sons.
So she wants to know how someone can transition into any keto diet being allergic to the alternative to sugar. That's where I got stuck. I can't tolerate not even stevia. Haven't been brave enough to try monk fruit. Thank you, Edie.
Yeah.
Well, that is an interesting question. I'm trying to think right now what we have in our cupboards in regards to sweeteners. But really, whenever you're doing the ketogenic diet like that, I mean, we would look at, okay, what it is that you're eating, and then what can we substitute out? What are some foods that you would be okay with, substituting here and there? So maybe you're eating, I don't know, like low, kind of like, let's say deli meat, for instance, maybe instead of deli meat, we look at a better brand of deli meat, or we look at a different type of meat, that you can eat. Or maybe you're eating, a lot of one kind of real like high sugar, let's say fruit. Let's substitute that maybe for like a blue, like for blueberries or for blackberries that have, many, nutrient dense, elements in it. And that's really good for your body in a lot of different ways. Or, I kind of went through that process. I'm like, all right, what can I substitute out, this for that? And that's basically then that whole transitional phase that, that I kind of refer to is what can you transition into to get to like a new phase, in your life. So I realized, looking at it, for instance, like beer, for instance, I would drink beer, but, I easily transitioned out of, drinking that because I realized it just didn't make me feel good once I started eating, more healthy. And that's what happens too. Like, you'll notice that once you start to substitute, foods, and you start to transition from different food products to others, that whenever you might revert back, like one time I was up late at night and we had like 3 bags of Cheetos, like the snack bags. And then I scarfed them all down. And like, I woke up the next day, like having a hangover basically. And so I took that as just a really good learning moment, because I realized my body's just not used to that. And yeah, at that moment in time, it tasted good, but it's not worth the inflammation, and it's not worth me feeling just so blah. over when I really didn't need to eat them. It was just one of these, weak moments that we all have, and I just was like, oh, there's Cheetos in the cupboard and no one's around and I just want to eat those Cheetos. So that's what I did. And I was like, why don't I eat those Cheetos? Like, oh, I feel so horrible, But if you allow, like with all my clients, that's kind of like how we take things. Like, so if, one of my clients was eating, like, let's say smoothies, which, so many smoothies are high sugar and just not good for you at all. So we'll transition to, let's say, protein shakes and, different protein powders and stuff. That's a whole other conversation. People will argue which is better and which is worse and all that. But, if my client goes from smoothies that are, 30, 40 grams of sugar to, let's say, a protein shake with, 5 grams of sugar, that's a really good transition. That's a really good, substitution at that moment in time. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe they're just, they really enjoy them. So then they eat, let's say, or they drink, let's say 2 shakes a day. And, we see how that affects them. We're like, hey, maybe you could, just limit yourself to maybe 1 shake a day and just let's substitute, let's say some rotisserie chicken or, something else, right? To take the place of whatever it is that you're taking too much of. And then, maybe in 2 weeks we say, hey, how about, instead of every day, let's try it, let's say 3 times a week. You know what I mean? So, and then let's put something else in that place for it. So, it's just all a slow, guiding process, because whenever we do this, especially, this is the rest of our lives that we're thinking of, right? So what's, months, like, let's say you really have to work hard for a year. What's 12 months, like what's 1 year out of, let's say, the next 40 years of your life? That's 1/40th, of your life. I mean, that's not a really that long of a time, especially to make such an amazing change and transformation in your life. If your boss gave you, like, let's say 1/40th of your workload to do, we wouldn't think much of it. We were like, oh, okay, that's fine. And if we see, let's say, life as our workload, and then it just takes a little bit of time, really, in the grand scheme of things, to get things worked out. But people, like I said, jump into like too much, too soon. Like they'll see the fad diet, or they'll hear keto, and they see all of the people that have been doing this for years and years and years with such great success stories. But that's an unfair comparison. Like, you can't compare yourself to that. You have to take where you are and just allow yourself to say, hey, I drink, let's say, Cokes every day. I'm going to go down to Diet Cokes. That's awesome. I mean, that's still not the best thing for you, but who really cares? If that's what you need to substitute out of to start to transition into like a new phase of your life, then that's what, I tell my clients, you have to worry about where you are and what you need to do at that moment in time. Don't compare yourself to someone who's been doing, let's say, any diet, right, for 10, 12, 5 years. I mean, because their phase of life is so much different, right? And they could be an athlete and maybe you're not, or, they're a father of 5 and, you are something different. We all have so many different things going on that, with, especially with my clients, it's like wherever they are in their lives, we look at how can we just get to the next step.
I love that.
And that's their next step. And that's the perfect step, for them to be on. Because then maybe from Diet Cokes, we switch to Coke Zeros. And then maybe from Coke Zeros, we switch to, like the bubbly waters that you can buy, like the seltzer waters. And then maybe it just becomes regular water with electrolytes in it. You just never know how it's going to transform, but people have to allow themselves to just take it, that one step at a time, if need be. Some people might not need that. Some people can just go to the next step without really transitioning. And then that's great. That's what we'll work with that too.
Right. I love that gradual approach with grace, because we're in this world where immediate gratification is such a thing that
Yeah.
they think cold turkey and I'm going to get on this plan, and then your body literally like goes into shock because it's
Right.
used to all of the other things, and all of a sudden it's not getting it. It goes through withdrawal. So
Right.
of the gradual with grace approach. And yeah, it's very much like we were talking about with the affirmations. You're changing patterns and routines and foods that you've eaten for, your entire life almost. And we're
Mhm.
finding out more and more the foods of today aren't created the same way they were back in the day when
Right.
I could eat it and it didn't make me feel a certain way, or it didn't make me put on weight. So I love the fact that you approach this gradually, you move at the speed that's appropriate for your client. And, it's like you're taking them on an adventure of exploring and experimenting. Let's find what works best for you.
Yeah, and that's what's really great about it. It's all just so new to every person that you work with, because with what they like to eat and with how their body reacts, because everybody's bodies react differently to many different things. Like there's an ultra runner that I follow, and she eats like tons of candy and like pizza and all this horrible, what we deem as horrible stuff. But
Right.
she's like the champion ultra runner ever.
Wow.
And if I eat a slice of pizza, my knees blow up on me like a helium balloon, and I'm, crippling around the house, not even being able to play with my kids. So, it's just amazing how, where we are, and, how our bodies are just created, that what affects me, I can't tell you what to eat based on how I eat.
Right.
Because you're such a different person and you have such different life experiences, and you have just, everything about you is just different. So, I mean, we have to look at it like that. It's just so personalized. And then too, like with like movement, if you can walk, let's say someone doesn't walk. So, all right, well, let's maybe try to walk a half a mile, a day or multiple times a week, or try to walk a mile, and then they start to feel good about that. Okay, hey, let's walk that mile faster now, or let's walk a few, like let's try to maybe tack on a little bit more, miles, like maybe be like a mile and a half now instead of a mile. And you just realize over the course of time, if you just stay consistent, right? That's the biggest thing, is the consistency. If, you can stay consistent with whatever you're doing and just kind of follow what you need to do in regards to you, then you'll get to where you need to be. It's just, you have to allow yourself to get there when, the phase that you're in and where your body is at that moment in time needs to get there by.
Yeah.
It's just, now that we're so saturated, especially on social media with, perfect bodies and, now AI creations and stuff. It just really becomes bad news, because people think, oh my gosh, I've been doing this plan for 2 weeks. Why haven't I lost 10 pounds? Well, because you really can't, unless you totally starve yourself. It's impossible,
And then even then you're losing muscle. You're not losing good things.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. What was I going to say? I don't know. I've lost it now. You just put up a website. If people would like to reach out to you, how can they contact you?
Yeah, I was super excited about that. So last night, we finally able to complete it, my wife and I, and it's called gregorypituch.com. And
on
okay.
podcast only, can you spell that for them?
Oh, yes. GREGORYPITUCH.com.
Perfect.
And it's just a nice, it's perfect for where I am in my, .com. It's just, it's like the perfect website for, I am in my life right now. And it finally gets me out there, and, having people, being able to find me. I'm not the best with, social media or, advertising myself. So this was really an exciting big step to take and just get myself out there and, just have the chance to work with people just in a kind, common sense, forgiving type manner where there are no mistakes right through the journey. I mean, it's just, we learn what our, let's say, strengths and weaknesses are. We learn how our body reacts to different foods and different drinks and such. And it's just fun to work with people and kind of play around and see how they can get from, point A of their journey to point B of their journey, just in that positive way, and just allow people to have fun with it and be positive about it and just enjoy and being proud of, what they're doing. I mean, because, a lot of people don't take that next step and they don't try to, let's say, eat healthier or move more. And the fact that they're doing that at all, I mean, is amazing. It's because that takes, I mean, it's brave to do that, to do something uncomfortable and you're not sure how it's going to end up. But, these people take that chance and they're willing to give it their all.
I love your approach. Your approach is you don't have to worry about being perfect. You just take one step at a time, and it's about succeeding. So I appreciate that message and style of this. Awesome.
Yeah, we were saying in the pre-show, which I know we have to wrap up, but this was important to me. Greg came to nutrition this way because of the pain in his body. Like we said, he's always been fit. He's always been athletic. He's always been moving. And for you to have arthritis at such a young age, and for you to be moving through all that and finding nutrition was a big solution for you. It's such a beautiful message because, Janice and I, we've talked about it before. We've struggled with our weight our entire lives. So nutrition, we hear nutrition, we're like, oh, it means salad and that's all we can do. It's funny, when we said substitution beer, I was like, yeah, have you moved to bourbon? No.
Yes.
So there's so much more for us to talk about. So we're going to have you back on the show again. Okay. We are out of time today. Yes. Janice, would you like to do the quick spiel?
Yes, we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization, which means you can donate to us and get it write it off on your taxes. You can visit our website, peacefulempowermentworks.org. And there's a donate button at the top and at the bottom. If you donate $25, email me and I will make a t-shirt for you. And you have to email me, let me know. It's at peacefulempowermentworks@gmail.com. And thank you. Give if you can, because we do have some expenses, even though we love doing this, we do it for free.
Absolutely. Perfect. Yes. Greg, we can't thank you enough for being here with us, and we look forward to having you back. We want to thank all of our people that are watching and supporting the show. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all those things to get this word out there. Greg needs to be plastered on every platform. Plastered on every platform. So again, thank you for choosing to be here now with us. And please always remember,
you're not alone, even in nutrition.
And don't forget, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Thanks.